And welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's Tuesday, May 28th, 2013. It's me, Hugh Riley, and of course, Sandra Kirzakos, my co-host, joining me here today to talk about the issues that are important to all of us here in Canada and Toronto.
What's with the funny voice?
What's with that?
It's a new serious show.
Oh, a new serious
right,
show.
because of the new background.
Just because we joke around too much. There's too many serious issues out there.
Okay, so we can't joke around anymore. So this is a serious drama now.
So we're not allowed to smile?
So that is Anne-Maree.
Anne-Maree!
Anne-Maree is here.
Where do I wave?
Just look at you. You're framed perfectly.
Where do I wave? Where do I look? Right here.
You don't look
right
anywhere.
Here?
Just forget that you're on TV.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so first of all, before we get into this, I just want to say who we got coming on the show.
Anne-Maree has the best laugh for a Wicked Witch.
Oh, dear.
We just have to get her a bike with that basket in the front.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to say that.
I understand.
All right, we're supposed to be serious.
All right, okay. So we got Kevin Proto coming on the show in just a few minutes via Skype from BC.
Awesome.
He's with Locals, supporting locals, and we're going to talk to Kevin about all that kind of stuff. Also, Laura McCutcheon from the Devil's Cabaret will be here.
I don't even know what to ask her that one.
I better laugh a lot during that time.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's our only laugh break.
Then Carl Stedman will be here. You know Carl.
I do. I know
So
Carl.
how do you know Carl?
I met him at a talk.
Who was talking?
Well, it was a bunch of people, a bunch of speakers talking.
Was he one of the talkers?
He actually was performing. He was one of the performers.
And he might be performing for us today?
Yes, I hope so. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely man. And he's got this thick Irish accent, although he's probably going to say...
Is it Irish?
Well, maybe it's not. Well, that's what... Okay,
I don't think it is. I heard him on the phone. I didn't think he was Irish.
Oh, what did you think?
I could be wrong.
What's Stedman? What's that last name? Stedman.
I would say from the other island.
Scotland?
Well, whatever that UK is. I think he might be from Yorkshire.
Well, let's ask him.
But I'm just guessing. Okay.
Let's ask.
Sarah Zeldman will also be here.
Right.
She's e-marketing maven. She's going to be here. Tell us all about e-marketing. That's
I
right.
love that. Awesome. Before we get on to the topics, I just want to say congratulations to everybody for the Monsanto March this weekend. It was an amazing turnout.
Where did you go?
I went. I didn't get there till towards the end, but I did get there.
Where was it?
It started at St. James Park by King and Church.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of people?
Yeah. Estimates were, some people say 2,000, some people say 2,500, and there were, I think, 95 countries around the world marching. So it was really, really amazing. It was unbelievable.
Well, I just want you guys to know that Monsanto has hired people to spy on you on Facebook.
Oh, well, some people couldn't even post things on Facebook, and it was started by this lady. I can't remember what her name is, but she started in L.A., and apparently they had a million.
Is she from India?
No, she's from
Oh, okay.
She's from L.A., and she started, and there were. I heard 1 million people in L.A. that protest. I heard worldwide it was 2 million people that protested. But on the eve of the Monsanto March, I don't know if you know, but 2 states, Vermont and I think Wisconsin, voted that they have the right to independently decide as a state whether or not they are going to label GMOs. Okay, and on the eve of the march, the Senate voted, I think it was 72 to 27, quite a bit, to revoke that and basically say no state has the right to do that. And apparently, and I don't know if this is true, so don't quote me, but I did read this, Monsanto is now suing those 2 states.
Well, Monsanto needs to...
And Obama, for anybody who thinks Obama is a light worker, he signed the Monsanto Protection Act, which allows nobody can sue Monsanto, not even the government can come after Monsanto.
Yeah.
And he hired a top man from Monsanto, if not the top man, to head up the Food and Drug Administration. So, what's Obama doing?
People are sleeping with people here, right? It's so much
I used to think he was a good guy, not anymore.
I know a lot of people did. So anyways, kudos to everybody around the world who marched, because amazing. And in Europe, it's banned. In a lot of countries it's banned, and a lot of countries you have to label them. It's North America.
You know what? That's bad for Canadian farmers, because if we want to export to Europe and they've banned all this crap that Monsanto is forcing down everybody's throat.
Yes.
What's that going to do for our export markets?
Absolutely.
For the prices of agricultural commodities for Canadian farmers? It's bad for farmers.
And actually, some farmers, a number of them apparently have committed suicide over this.
Well, a lot in India, especially.
Yeah. But you know what? This is a reason to go local, which is the reason we have Kevin on.
That's right. We're going to talk to Kevin about that kind of stuff in a few minutes.
Good
also,
segue.
I just want to say there's another big protest happening in Ottawa this weekend. I'm going to actually speak.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh my God! What for?
It's for the monetary reform thing. The Paul Hellyer, the Victory for the World.
Why didn't? Do you have a poster? Anything? Why didn't you say anything?
No poster. I'm saying it right now.
Okay. So, what is your topic?
Money.
Well, if
Money
it's a
reform.
monetary reform.
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be. That's the only topic.
Listen, it's the money system that controls everything, okay? So who's ever in control of the money system, which isn't you, because it's not your picture on the money, it's somebody else's picture on the money.
Wow.
Why are we using that money? It's time for us to take control of the monetary system, and that control mechanism can go away now.
What's the name of this? Is this a protest?
Yeah, it's a protest.
Okay. And it's going to
Paul
be
Hellyer, the former defense minister.
Hugh, I wish I had known earlier, because I would have loved to have gone to Ottawa.
But you can still go. There's a bus going. Just contact us here at the studio if you want to go, and we'll hook you up.
Wow.
But anyways, Paul Hellyer's been about this issue for a long time. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
So Paul Hellyer is going to be the main speaker?
I think so.
Okay. Good for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you guys get lots of media.
We'll probably have some video next week.
Yes.
Of that. So Anne-Maree, we're here. We're talking about what's happened in the last week since the last show. Of course, is that whatever it was in London. What happened there?
Okay, that can't be.
Anne-Maree is a political.
Foreign correspondent?
Yeah, well, whatever.
a political foreign correspondent / gossip gal.
Anne-Maree, so what's going? Do we have actually?
See, this is what I think.
Okay.
May I say what I think?
Yes,
Maybe we can get
of
the
course.
footage.
That's what we got.
So another false flag, right? Except that they don't even seem to be trying hard anymore.
No, we have some pictures here. I don't know if we can bring these up while you're talking, Anne-Maree, but tell me why they're not trying on this, or what's going on? What's really going on?
See, this is the thing. They said the fellow, that the young man that was responsible for butchering the
British soldier.
The British soldier.
Yeah.
Well, since when do you butcher someone and then stay on the scene and stand around and talk about it, and give your reasons for doing it? Would you not be getting the hell out of there?
Well, not if you're crazy, maybe.
Well, so is there a group that's taking responsibility for this?
No.
No.
So are we just thinking this is some
two young men that actually were Christian and converted to Islam.
So are we talking another case of the Boston bombings? Isn't that what they were?
Well, this is what, and are they enacting draconian anti-civil rights legislation there?
This is when I first read it. Okay, I thought, oh, come on. I mean, people just don't act that way when they kill somebody. They get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And to me, and then a friend of this young man went on BBC TV and said that the MI5 had been pursuing his friend for many years.
Okay, so MI?
That's the...
Well, that's the British intelligence.
Oh.
Yeah. That
was Mission Impossible.
That they had been pursuing him and even asked him to work for them. Yeah, because that's what they do. They get these kids or get people that they know are involved in this sort of stuff, and then they train them to be stooges, and oftentimes it involves a lot of mind programming, which kind of makes sense that you would go up and butcher someone in the middle of London and
so
then stand
was this like in the middle of the day?
It.
Was this in the middle of the day?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, is anyone in the right mind going to do that sort of thing and then stay around and talk about it?
So why would somebody do this?
Well,
why would the powers that be try to do something like this?
And you know how it goes from country to country. Like the next event was in France, same sort of thing. It's just to keep the whole whole world afraid. It's to keep
it's the whole terrorists. The terrorists are here
against Islam. It's to eventually start World War III. That's what they want to do. That's how they do it. They keep us divided, afraid. I mean, you know, and we keep hearing, like, every day there's something new, right? And they're just keeping the whole world afraid, divided, and
united we stand, divided we fall.
And as long as people are afraid, they pull in. They sort of, you know, they want to protect themselves. They're not so much thinking, look, let's get together and take these guys down, right? Everybody gets afraid.
So are people looking, Anne-Maree, are they blaming Islam for this? Or is that what people? Is that what seems to be?
The United States, isn't it? Isn't it? Like they, you know, everything that happens within 30 seconds of something happening, it's immediately branded as a terrorist event.
Yes.
And that's what they're trying to do. The people that are behind it, they're the same people that started the First and Second World War, right? This is their MO. This is how they operate. And what they're doing now is just trying to keep the whole world on tenterhooks, afraid. Like, all we're hearing now is the war in Syria, you know, the thing, the ghastly thing.
Yeah, because the Boston thing has kind of fallen by the wayside because they've got the guys
so
now.
Move on. And even with the Boston thing, I mean, those two young men, I don't believe for a minute that I think that they probably, again, they were supposed to, the FBI was supposed to have worked with them behind the scenes, trying to recruit them. See, they get these kids involved that sort of have a propensity for this sort of thing. And then they brainwash them. They involve them. They set them up as stooges, and then they just leave them alone to deal with whatever happens, right? Because now, you know, they said that young boy that was found in the boat, that was supposed to be, like, he's supposed to have written this note in the boat, like a confession or something.
Which one? What are we talking?
We're talking about the Boston bombers now.
Okay.
It's just it's all, and then we know that the media lies all the time.
Well, this is what's really astounding to me. So many people thought the Boston bombing was a false flag. So many people now are onto the media. Nobody, or well, I'm sure there are still some, but a large population now is questioning everything. They're not buying into anything without being skeptical now.
But you know what?
At least I think in North America.
Not enough. Not enough.
Well, more than before.
Well, good.
And you know, I think that more events like this, if they're tagged on to, you know, false flag, I think they're actually doing them more. The perpetrators, if these are false flags, are actually creating more skepticism. I don't think they're creating more fear. I think they're creating more skepticism, except, of course, for the people who actually witness this. I mean, this happened midtown, midday?
During the day,
like,
of course.
In a busy area?
Yeah, right in the heart of London.
That's I mean,
but you know what? I talked with my sister-in-law who lives in Bristol, England, which is just, you know, 2-hour drive from London. And I don't tell her what I think. I just wondered what her take on it would be. And of course, you know, she buys right into it. Yes, isn't it a terrible thing? And isn't this man crazy? And you know, she said, isn't the world a scary place now? That's exactly what they
Who said that?
Her sister.
My sister.
Your sister? Was she on BBC too?
No, but she would be perfect.
All on tenterhooks to keep us feeling anxious and afraid, and then what zaps energy more than fear? You know, you're not going to be able to get together and revolt.
So what are they going to?
And it's just one. You notice it's one thing after another now.
What can we do about it, Anne-Maree?
So, okay, let's predict where it's going next.
No, let's not do that.
Okay, that's not a good idea.
That's not a good idea.
Well,
but what can we do about this?
That's not a good idea.
Well, talking about it like we are right now is a good
raise
thing.
Awareness, right?
Raising awareness.
And you're not a crazy conspiracy nut, are you? Or are you?
Well, the thing is that these can't be conspiracy theories anymore because they're happening so often. They're conspiracy facts now.
Well, don't they say to every rumor there is truth?
Well, I don't know what they say, but it may or may not be true. But here's what gets me is that nobody at any of the highest levels, whether it's Obama or who's the Gordon Brown, or who's the guy in England now?
The Prime Minister, or whatever they call him.
Whatever the new guy is.
Yeah, I know. David Cameron.
Or Harper. None of these guys ever addressed the idea that there seems to be some sort of a creeping police state going on. They never talk about it. They never address that issue. Those questions never even get asked, okay? So they, there's a lot of legitimate concern about this kind of thing, and these politicians are not addressing that issue. And I don't know, I heard David Cameron's response, and it just sounded like BS to me.
Absolutely. But you just raised a really important point, and I meant to mention that. And that is the whole idea of keeping us afraid is that people will think, oh, something has to be done, the government's got to do something, and so especially when it came to the Boston bombers, I mean, that town where they went into started with a W. Anyway, they went and broke into people's houses with guns pointed and ordered people.
That would feel like a police state.
The American populace should have been up in arms, but they don't realize that their rights are being eroded constantly, and that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea.
Well, problem, reaction, solution.
But here's the thing, I think a lot of Americans, of course, are aware that their rights are being eroded. The question is, what do you do about it? The thing is, our rights are being eroded here in Canada as well. And what do we do about it?
Well, we're very complacent.
No, but what do you do about it? It's a difficult
You have a monetary reform.
Well, that's what easier said than done.
Or you write to your MP, your MPP, your city councilor and say, this is what's happening as a result of these things that keep happening in the mail, and this has got to stop. You can't get away with this.
And to both your points, though, okay. I mean, if a SWAT team is like banging down your door, and they're coming into your house with guns, of course you're going to freeze. Of course you're going to respond and react, right? And you're going to do whatever they say.
This is the thing. What is, when the police are no longer there to serve you and are there only to act against you on behalf of the government, then you do have a police state, right?
Exactly. But in answer to more and more people are becoming aware of it, not enough, because people should be in the streets about this, like the NDAA that Obama passed, the act that allows the military to pick up somebody who they think might possibly be involved in some, not that they've done it, that they think might be involved in some terrorist act, and hold them indefinitely without habeas corpus, without representation, and not allow them to see any member of their family or anything indefinitely, and even torture them.
Without a call?
This has been enacted. Obama passed that. Why is
that recent?
Yeah, well, he passed it not last New Year's Eve, but the New Year's Eve before, when everybody was out partying. So, the American public should be outraged.
They are outraged. I think what we need to do...
why are we hearing more about it?
I don't know. If you go on the internet, everybody's outraged.
I think Alex Jones.
Everybody's outraged on the internet. Nobody's outraged on TV. Because TV is owned by such a small body of owners.
By the people that are behind
and that's the same in Canada, too. And I think one of the strategies, we need to turn off the television, save your cable fees. Save your cable fees. Get all your information from the internet, because the television carries the day. Because we all think that whatever is on TV is the mainstream thing. We got to turn off the television. Okay, Anne-Marie, we got to get going.
All right.
We got to get busy. Actually, you know what? I got a video here. I just got it ready. This is somebody... I don't know who it is. Somebody called the Truther Girls. I don't even know what this is. It's about the Boston stuff, though, and they may be shedding some light on the kind of things that you're talking about. The Boston that now people are saying is maybe being repeated in Britain. Part of what you're talking about, Anne-Marie. So let's watch this. We're going to come back with Kevin Proto from, where is he? I think he's in Kelowna? Maybe Kelowna. We're going to be right back.
Lovely being here.
I'll be back.
Hi, everyone. Well, I've been researching the Boston Marathon bombing some more, and I've found a lot of strange things that I'd like to share with you. And by the way, I have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thethruthergirls. So please like my page, and if you find any interesting links, you could share them with me there. And if I post links, please let me know your thoughts on the stuff that I post. So here's what I found so far. So first of all, the family of the suspects, Johar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev, what did they have to say about them? Well, as I mentioned in my other video, the father said there's no way that they were angels and they couldn't have done this, and they must have been set up. And I thought, well, maybe the father's in denial. Maybe he doesn't really know what his kids are up to. But the the mother also said that she thought it was a setup, and she mentioned that the FBI had been like on their case or had been in touch with them anyway for years. And I remember her saying that the FBI was monitoring them and controlling everything they do. That's what she said. So if the FBI was so worried about them, you know, you'd think that they could have maybe done something to prevent this from happening. And then the aunt, Marette, says that they were set up, she thinks, also. And Dan Dix from Press for Truth tried to interview her, and she was really scared and she didn't want to talk to him. But she did talk to him on the phone, and she just said that the naked man who had been arrested in Watertown, that was the older brother Tamerlan. Although Tamerlan was supposedly over 6 feet tall, and the naked man doesn't look like he's that tall. So maybe the aunt was mistaken, and it's not Tamerlan. The backpacks, they said that the recovered exploded backpack was Jahar's pack, but if you look at the pictures comparing the exploded pack to his pack, it really doesn't look like the same pack. I mean, first of all, the exploded pack is black, and Jahar's pack was kind of like a dark gray, and it also didn't have a square on it, but the exploded pack does. There was someone else at the scene who did have a square on his pack. Was it his pack? I don't know, but it doesn't look like Jahar's pack in any case. And even CNN admitted this, and they gave this ludicrous explanation that maybe Jahar had a pack within a pack. But where's the proof? And they say they have footage of him depositing it, but they haven't shown it to us, so, you know, I'm not convinced. Sorry, I said Jahar, but I meant Tamerlan. Tamerlan's the one with the dark colored pack. Okay, so supposedly Jahar, he goes to the marathon, he sets off a bomb, and then what does he do after that? Does he go into hiding? No, he goes back to school. He goes to school, he attends class, he even goes to the gym, he even talks to people there about what happened and says that it's crazy and this could happen anywhere in the world. He goes to the gym, he goes to a party, and then what's really weird is that the FBI, for some reason, instead of going to the school to get him, because you'd think that if there was a terrorist on the loose, and this guy is a suspect, and they know where he goes to school, and everyone at school knows that he's there, I mean, couldn't they have just checked with the school whether he was there, or maybe gone to his dorm and seen if he was there? I mean, doesn't it make sense to go to where he probably would be and just pick him up? Another thing that's really weird is that their mother claims that the FBI contacted them after the bombing. So if they could contact them and they knew where they were, then why didn't they just go and get them? It's a scary thought that if the FBI is on the case of a terrorist, that they would do that and give him a heads up rather than just go and pick him up. Well, as Channel 4 News points out, though, it's possible that the FBI didn't really call Tamerlan. It's not really confirmed. The FBI won't say anything about it. So according to the official narrative, the police catch up with the two after they killed a security guard at MIT and hijacked someone's vehicle. Tamerlan is killed in a shootout, possibly run over by his own brother, although we don't.
So, okay, so there's a little bit of info about the Boston that's kind of confirming some of the information that Anne-Maree was just giving us.
Wow, it is kind of weird.
It's weird. Okay, speaking of, I'm not gonna say speaking of weird. Here's Kevin Proto from Kelowna. But Kevin, do we have you? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Okay, perfect. This is working out great. So how are things? You're in Kelowna, right?
Actually, I'm in Penticton, BC.
Oh, Penticton. That's in the Okanagan, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes away from Kelowna. It's we're South Okanagan, they're Central, and then there's North Okanagan.
Okay, awesome.
So did you have any kind of GMO protest, Monsanto March, over the weekend?
Oh, absolutely.
You guys have
absolutely. Yeah, we had anywhere between 200 and 300 people show for ours. It was kind of unique. I had a friend bring down a tractor, and he led us through the. First, we marched through our farmers market, supported them, bought as much produce as we could, and then we veered off and went up a side street, having a tractor guide us up to our MP's office down here, and showed him the food that we wanted.
Awesome. Now, did you guys get any press?
We got local press, even though all throughout the week, even starting at the beginning of last week, I had sent out numerous emails to all mainstream media, CBC, Global, BC here, and all the newspapers, and I even contacted them through phone. And so they were well aware, but it was kind of disheartening how none of them were here.
Well, a lot of people spoke about media blackout. I didn't. I actually looked on the news. I specifically looked on the news for it after the protests and at like 6 o'clock and that kind of thing, radio and TV, and I didn't see anything. I might have missed it, but I didn't see anything. But I did see there was some stuff on CBC online, but I don't know how front page that was.
Yeah.
No, and that's it. I mean, CBC did report on it mildly. They didn't talk about it the way it came across, because, I mean, that's unprecedented. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's 52 countries, 432 cities worldwide. I think that's the final count, but don't quote me on that. So, I mean, you would think, you know, with all the reporting they do and all the other countries there with all their protests going on, and as they say, the wars, you know, they show so much going on in other countries, and here we're having something unprecedented and they don't even report on it the way they should.
I know. Yeah.
So, Kevin, let's talk about locals supporting locals. You've been on the show before to talk about that, and I know you got some new developments happening. Just maybe give us a rundown if you could.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, this is, I'm hoping you can see it here. This is our finished product here. It's our 2013 calendar, Real Living with Real Food. So the focus of locals supporting locals in this, the times that we're in, or the revolution that we're in, a lot of it's based on where we put our money. So my primary focus is on our South Okanagan, and there's an important message of how and why you're supposed to support local, because the way it's being commercialized, it's treating it like it's some sort of fad, and it's truly the heart of a community. And if we want to stop the corporatization, we have to keep our money local, and that's what I've been working on for about 3, almost 4 years now. So it was really nice. I'm already starting up the 2014 calendar to get it out a little earlier this time, and it's just ramping up even more and more. And I have to say, the media did pick up on it. I did get the press on this. So, and now with the march that we had here, we had a lot of local mom and pops that were out for it and truly respected what we're doing and what we stand for here.
Yeah, what got you into the whole idea of locals supporting locals? Because it's not just the name of your website, it's also an idea, it's an economic idea, it's a revolutionary political idea. What got you into this to begin with?
Well, it's great that you get it, you know, because sometimes it's, and I jokingly say to people, you know, because I am an activist, or I prefer to say a very, very concerned citizen here with what I see going on with the privatization, industrialization, globalization of every aspect of our life, with food, water, air, you name it. And so when I looked at all these issues that was going on, and I jokingly like to say I went down the rabbit hole, but I brought a jackhammer with me, and when it came out, I found it to be quite alarming here. And so instead of panicking or living in the fear mode here of what's taking place, I'm like, okay, what can we do to solve things here? How can we switch it, you know? And so to me, again, it's all taking it back at a local level. You know, just like in history, it was just the beginning of time that we know of it anyways. All the revolutions have started from the bottom up. All the changes have started from the bottom up. And so that's what the message is that we're promoting here. And if we can all take care of our front yards and our backyards, then move forward, then we'd be a much better place. Too many people are looking at a global level on too many issues.
And what's the response been by the local community?
Well, you know, it's funny, It's and when I went around to get the advertising for the first calendar here, I mean, a lot of the local mom and pops liked the idea of supporting local, of course. You know, I mean, so they were on board, and some of them got it right away. You know, and I would say to them jokingly, I said, "This is one of those projects. It's either you get it or you don't."
Right.
And the reception was quite good, but I still had people that were kind of sitting on the fence, didn't know who I was, what I was doing. But I made it a point to keep going back, dropping off flyers for the advertising, saying hello so that they know that I am local and I'm not just your average advertising guy here. And my background is 7 years of sales and marketing. I did door-to-door all over Canada and United States. I was taught by a company that taught me the true concept of selling. So I took those skills and I put together this whole concept, this calendar, with the support of some great people such as Amber Goodwin and Dan Thorburn, who took care of my website. Amber took care of the graphics for the calendar. And now I'm starting to see more and more businesses today. I go into, to give them the 2014 calendar advertising brochures that I created. And they're telling me, good job, I like what you're doing, and good for you.
Now, locals, I know you're in Penticton there, but the concept of locals supporting locals can and should probably apply everywhere. And I get your emails, Kevin, and I know a lot of people across the country do. Are you seeing the idea getting picked up in other communities as well?
Yeah, well, that's it. So my goal here is, because the concept, again, it's working with some wonderful people, even that we're both acquainted with, like Dean Nicholson, Rose Stevens, and stuff like that. I communicate with a lot of people, and my goal is to get a template here, and so people can duplicate it where they are, and keep the same name, but start another, the Toronto chapter, the Montreal chapter. And because otherwise you have to create a hub where everybody can go and they know what's going on in their community, whether it be great family events, and that's very important, is for people to get out of the virtual to come back to the real world again here. But as well, if there's a march against Monsanto, all the information is under that hub, so it's not to take the identity away from groups that have worked very hard to establish themselves, but the problem is if you don't Google the right words, you don't find them. So you need a hub in every community here, and this way we're not only in the same book, we're on the same page.
Yeah, okay.
So, go ahead. Do I have
Well, no, you go.
I was just going to ask you, Kevin, when you say go local, what I think of is mostly produce, like a farmer's market. Now, is that what that means? What is the definition of local, going local?
Well, that's it. It's a matter of keeping your money local. You got to support your mom and pops here. I mean, because like originally when Walmart set out, and for some reason the owners, I'm drawing a blank on them. You didn't set out to do what they've done today, where they've actually raped and pillaged producers of products. They pretty much bankrupt a lot of companies in order to get the products out as cheap as they can here. And it's gutting our downtown cores because people just continuously go to Walmart and all the big corporate stores here. So we're losing our downtown core and our small mom and pops that are around that too. And they are the true heart of a community, because I've done a lot of fundraising as well, going door to door and going to the businesses. And they're the ones that support many things that go on in our community that we take for granted. And the corporates don't do that. I mean, Walmart, as soon as they come to your town, the first thing they do is they buy a truck for the food bank, because that's where they're going to put everybody anyways, But, so it's about keeping everything local. And because I know with these economic times here, it's hard, sometimes, because it is marked up a little bit higher. But even if you can take 10% of your money and do that, that would mean the world to them, So it's a matter of keeping everything local.
Yeah.
Okay, so it means support small businesses as well as buying your fruits and vegetables and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the thing is at the end of the day, like our system that we're in right now, this took them decades to dismantle this beautiful country apart, and we're not going to fix it overnight. So, I mean, even if the stores are carrying some of the products that we may not like, made in China, or I like the new one now with some of the produce here. It's coming from the PRC, the People's Republic of China. So people really got to pay attention to their labels here. And they're actually, I don't know if this is, if it reached you guys, but they want to change the term local now, so that it will actually extend about 100 miles into the American border. That can be considered local. I mean, they're changing it in their vocabulary to allow the big corporate stores to be able to put that on their produce shelves because they see the shift that people are moving to now, and so they want to grab a hold of it. So it's still the same products, same everything, just a nice little pretty title, kind of like that term natural, you know.
Okay, Kevin, we're just about out of time, but is there anything else you want to let us know about? And of course, we have to tell people how to get in touch and how they can either help you or how you can help them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can visit our website, www.supportinglocals.ca. My contact number is on there. I'm willing to talk to anybody out there. I networked quite well here, and I know people in a lot of different places, so if you need connections to get things going where you are, by all means, give me a shout. Just another response there to getting support, like how things have shifted in the community here. I actually got my first donation through the website, and that happened yesterday, and that's because of the March Against Monsanto. And they took a look at the calendar of the website, and they truly understood what it is that I'm doing. Because again, I come across almost like an advertising guy. I'm in disguise. You don't see it. It's working here, so by all means, we're on Facebook too. You can go to Kevin Proto, P-R-O-T-E-A, and you can find me on there too. But it is local supporting locals chapter on Facebook as well.
All right, so locals, supportinglocals.ca, and people can sign up for the e-newsletter and stay up to date with you guys.
I mean, people can just have patience too, because a lot of what we do, the people that come on board, even for our videos, it's a lot of volunteering right now until it gets to the level where it needs to be. Because I did something very unique here through the calendar and mostly through the calendar, where it's providing a great service back to the community of where to go shop local, where to find your farmers, money-saving coupons on the back. But then, we sell them for $20. And the coupons get them back their money. So it creates a win-win situation here. But it also allows activists who mostly are, not doing so well financially, to create a small living for yourself so you can go out there, fight the good fight, feel good at the end of the day for what you do, because all you're doing is supporting your community. But you have to go by the heart. I've seen too many people try to duplicate what I'm trying to do, and they're trying to do it on a financial gain, and it doesn't work that way.
All right, Kevin. Well, this was great.
Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And congratulations on your first donation.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? If it wasn't for guys like you too, you guys are awesome. I love your show. I got to get it back functioning there, Hugh, so if you could send that to me, and so people can live stream, because as we saw with the march there, yes, mainstream not covering it, so you guys rock. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Kevin, thanks a lot. So there's Kevin Proto from Penticton, BC. We're going to just take a little break now. Actually, we got a video to do with our next guest, Laura McCutcheon from the Devil's Cabaret. We're going to play this video and come back with Laura as Liquid Lunch continues. We'll be right back.
Salon Noir was created as a nod to the parties of yesteryear and as a means to celebrate art, music, dance, and fashion within our own dark aesthetic. We debuted at Lula Lounge in April of 2011 with our theme, The Victorian Bohemians, featuring fusion belly dance and live music from Amy's Arms and Voltaire. We continued through a whole series of periods from medieval to the roaring 20s with headliners like David J., the Dead Fly Ensemble, and Jarbo.
Loves Jesus and where
On June 2nd, we take inspiration from old-time Coney Island and sideshow carnies with our theme, The Devil's Cabaret. The evening's performances will include Mental Floss Sideshow, burlesque from Toronto's own Coco Frambois and New York City's Flying Fox, local glam rock band The Scarlet Fever, and coming to us from the UK, the legendary Sex Gang Children.
Oh,
Tours and dinners start at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8:30 at Lula Lounge. Tickets are available through our website or at Rotate This. Come dressed to impress. Create your own crazy, carny, death rock dandy, Victorian vaudevillian, or glamorous goth, and come share a surreal evening with us.
All right, so the Devils, Cabaret, Salon Noir, and the producer is here, Laura McCutcheon.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I asked you during that if you're a devil worshiper, right? And because one might think that perhaps.
And you know, there was, I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a big scare of devil worshippers because of cemeteries being vandalized and things like that, which had nothing to do with the scene that I associate with, which I consider myself a goth. But I am not a devil worshiper. I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in anything like that. So,
well, I don't think most goths are devil worshippers, anyways, right? Goth is a scene. It's not a religion or a cult.
No, I mean, goth
it's a culture.
Is a subculture.
Okay.
It embodies various music styles. And it definitely has a certain fashion look that over time has definitely branched into many different things.
I used to love goth. I used to be goth too.
Did you?
Yes, I loved it because I never had to put white powder on my face because I was always so white. I didn't have to.
Did you dye your hair black?
You know what? I wore a black wig and I looked like The Walking Dead. I looked so. It just didn't.
Let's do that for the show one day.
Yeah, that would be really neat. But yeah, I actually loved that whole scene. I thought it was great.
Have you always been into the goth scene?
I
Laura?
have for a very, very long time. I probably it was the music that drew me in.
Yeah.
And around age 14 or so, I discovered bands like The Cure and Susie and the Banshees and Dead Can Dance, and I just knew I was so drawn to the music. And then the look. My bedroom as a teenager was plastered with Robert Smith posters and Sisters of Mercy and Skinny Puppy and all these different bands. So it was really about the music for me.
Yeah.
What did your parents think?
Oh, they were just, well, for a long time, oh, it's just a phase, it's just a phase. My father's like, this is not a phase. I'm almost 40 now, and it's not a phase.
So, how can you not like the Smiths when you hear that song, Friday? I love that song.
And The Cure.
Friday, I'm in love. You know that song?
That's a more poppy side of The Cure, is they got very, very mainstream, but Robert Smith The Cure has always been one of my favorite bands, and Robert Smith is a brilliant guitar player and a songwriter, so what's not to love?
You know, I used to be totally into Susie and the Banshees as well, but I couldn't dye my hair black because I'm a summer.
Summer people can still wear black. It has to be the right shade.
Well, see, I shouldn't even be wearing a black kufi. It should be tan or something like that.
Well, you know, Susie Sue's birthday just passed. She just turned 55.
Really?
And she's still kicking around. She's still singing. She's doing some appearances in the UK for a festival that Yoko Ono is putting together.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that Yoko, she's still kicking.
Goth just keeps on going. It just doesn't die.
Goth
Okay,
rules.
now, did I see in that promo piece that you're having Voltaire? Or
Now let me just to bring around what our event is, what we're doing. Yes, we did have Voltaire. We started Salon Noir about 2 years ago at a venue called the Lula Lounge, which is over in the West End. Their bread and butter is Cuban salsa nights, and it's a gorgeous venue.
Yeah.
And they were a little skeptical when they saw the black clad set coming in, and then when they saw what we do and who we are, they had a great time with us. And Voltaire's an old friend of mine.
Really?
And I grew up in New York, and I've been living in Toronto now for the past 5 years. And I was like, hey, Voltaire, do you want to do this show here? And he is such the showman.
He's funny, too.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure to bring him up, and then once we brought him up, we were able to produce these other shows and bring in other acts that don't necessarily get to come to Canada, because being in Toronto, it can be really tough, because when bands come to tour in North America, when they hit Canada, it's Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, if we're lucky. So I wanted to be able to bring bands to Toronto and build these shows that we could. It wasn't just the goths, but lots lots of people want to come and see what it's all about and put on something fun and come and enjoy a good show.
Okay, so this one's June 2nd.
Yes.
And where is it? Is it?
It's at Lula Lounge,
okay,
which is over on Dundas West.
Dundas West. You can take the streetcar from here to it, and
Yep.
it is a fabulous venue.
Yes.
And so what's going to be happening this time?
So our theme is the Devil's Cabaret, and so we are going with this sideshow carny, sort of a nod to the yesteryear of Coney Island. And we've got some burlesque acts. We've got Coco Frambois, who is a local Toronto burlesque star, and another old friend of mine from New York who goes by the Flying Fox, who's also wonderful. We have sideshow acts by a couple who go by the Mental Floss Sideshow. And they have this very cute Victorian shtick, and they're going to do some sideshow acts for us. We have a local band called the Scarlet Fever, who is this sort of glam art rock band that kind of harkens back to the days of T-Rex and David Bowie. They're really tight musicians, really wonderful guys. And then our headliner is a band called the Sex Gang Children, who have been around for a really long time. They're probably one of the seminal goth bands of the scene, and they haven't been in Toronto in 30 years.
Well, are they from the UK?
Great.
Yes.
And
You've got quite the lineup.
Yes. We're very excited for Sunday, and it's going to be a really wonderful show.
now, are you getting the word out throughout the Toronto goth community, which is pretty big, isn't it?
Through Facebook, again, the goth scene comes in phases. So, because some of us are getting older and people have other priorities and don't go out as much. But then there's a whole crop of younger kids who are out and about who want to see these bands and have this opportunity. But a band like the Sex Gang Children are coming fresh from a big festival in Germany called the Treffen. And they don't always play in North America. So it's like, hey guys, come and see them while they're in North America. And they're doing this as an exclusive show for us here in Toronto.
Wow. No, I've never heard of this band, the Sex Gang Children. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. With a name like that, it can kind of close some doors.
It's almost scary.
Think so?
But do you know, actually, the name comes from a musician that you probably would know if you remember Culture Club and Boy George. Boy
Yeah.
George actually gave them that name. They were like, that's it, that's a great name. But again, it makes people a little comfortable. I can see your expressions and your body language as you even say it, because it's a little
I'm okay with it.
scary. But they are an amazing band that puts together sort of this dark and this very outspoken. They've got punk roots. They bring cabaret to the table. And their frontman, Andy Sexgang, is incredibly charming and a very, very creative and prolific individual.
Okay, is that really his name?
It's just a coincidence. It's
so wonderful when we can be born with these wonderful names.
Isn't it? I mean, you're just born to be a goth band rock star when you have a name like that, right? It's kind of like your destiny's already determined for you. So how often do you have these shows?
These shows are about once or twice a year.
Okay.
And this year we're only doing this one big one.
Okay.
And because otherwise we've been trying to put together other art-related kind of events to bring together various creative people. So, because again, going back to the earlier segment as far as supporting local, we want to support our friends and we want people to come out because we are blessed to be in a city with so many creative and talented people. And being in the arts is really tough because a lot of us don't have a lot of money, but we're still out there doing what we do because we love it.
Yeah, and you had mentioned another good point about going local.
Yes.
Which was?
Is support your local designers. There are so many amazing clothing designers in Toronto. Today I'm wearing a dress from Gloomth, who she's based online. She's in the East End, and she makes all these wonderful dresses.
It's beautiful.
And my
the dress
brooch
is beautiful.
comes from a gentleman named Daniel Pollock, who makes amazing jewelry. And he's got a studio up on Bathurst, but he comes out and vends at various shows, like the One of a Kind show.
Okay.
Or at the X, when the X comes around Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
And again, it's hard to, when people look at things that are locally made, it gets really tough because people go, oh, I don't know, $100 for this dress when I can buy
Walmart,
2 or 3 of them at Walmart or at H&M. It's like, yeah, but you got to know where your money is going. And yeah, we want to keep our money in Toronto. We want to support our friends. We want to support the people that we like.
Especially when it's more than just buying a dress or buying some local product. You're actually investing in art. You're investing that money back in the community, which is going to come back to you somehow.
Absolutely. And there's not going to be a lot of people wearing this dress.
Yes.
H&M can be on everybody's back, but this is not something that everybody's going to wear. So it's far more unique when you can support local designers who are making all sorts of really beautiful things.
It's a really interesting point, because when we think about going local, we think about, we get to know who our farmers are, so we get to communicate as we're buying produce from them. But so that's the food we eat, but we don't think about the clothes we wear. That's a concept that, I just don't think of when I think going local. So it's a really good point to know who's actually making your clothes.
Especially with what just happened in Bangladesh with the building collapse.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Good point.
these are all sweatshop workers, and it's really sad when you realize, well, these are the people who are slaving away to make clothes for Joe Fresh or Walmart or all these other big corporations. And again, relating back to the goth scene, Queen Street West 10 years ago was such a different place. And it was so neat coming here as a visitor from New York City and going, wow, all these independent designers can actually afford storefronts. And there were all these clothes. There was Hell's Bells. There was, or it used to be Siren back in the day. There was Peach Berserk, which now left Queen Street, which she makes all these really cool screen-printed dresses. There were all these great designers, and now they're all closing one by one because rents are going up. The rent of a storefront on Queen Street is $10,000 these days, and the only people who are going to be able to pull that stuff in are people like Zara, H&M, these big box stores. So if you really want to make a difference, vote with your dollars. That is the best way to support, is put your money where it should where you believe it should really go. And if you invest back in local, and you want to support your local artists, your local designers, your local musicians who are making these beautiful things, it can only make our community richer.
Yeah.
Wow. Well said.
And one way to start is to go to the Devil's Cabaret, the Salon Noir.
Absolutely.
This Sunday.
It's an all-ages show. Tickets are available through our website, or if you head down to the local record shop, go to Rotate This on Queen Street. There are tickets there. The show starts, dinner is at 7 p.m. And if you've never been to Lula Lounge, I highly recommend having dinner there, because the chef is fantastic. They offer a really great menu, and there's a lot of show to see. And I can guarantee you it'll be a very fun night.
And how late's it going to go on that?
Because it's a school night, because it's on Sunday, things will probably wrap up around midnight, so it won't be a very late night.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, so perfect thing to do on a Sunday night. And the food is great there.
Yes.
And so what's the website, Laura, for people that want to maybe check that out and get tickets online?
The URL is morbidoutlook.com and /Salon Noir. Or if you just go to morbidoutlook.com, there's a link that will take you straight to Salon Noir, where you'll see the poster that says the Devil's Cabaret, and you can get all the information you'd want there.
Okay, great. This is great. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me talk.
And good luck.
And great to support the whole local scene as well.
Vote with your dollars.
Any final thoughts you just want to leave people with before we...
In regards to, again, supporting local, people, again, I've mentioned I'm from New York City.
Yeah.
And here I live in Toronto. And my final thought that I will leave with you is that people look at me like I'm completely crazy, because they're like, why would you leave New York City for Toronto? And I respond, you guys don't know what you have here. Toronto is a really amazing city. I think we're known as Toronto the Good, but I think Toronto could be the Great, because there's so many wonderful things happening here. People just need to keep their noses to the ground and be aware of all these beautiful things that are happening. I believe in art, and the power of art and creativity, I think, can do a lot for a community. And people should come on out and see what's happening.
Wow.
It's funny you should mention that. I just heard yesterday. Wow. You know that guy Richard Florida? He mentioned, and he talks about the bohemian culture in a city is part of what really enriches the cultural milieu and ultimately the economic prosperity of a city. But he also said that Rob Ford was the worst mayor of a large city anywhere ever.
Okay, so we have the best mayor just down the street west of us in Hazel.
Yeah.
And then we have the worst.
I know. Don't give Hazel too much credit. Come on, it's easy to be mayor of Mississauga. Okay. Compared to Toronto. It's all new. Everything's new. You know, no budget problems. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyway, Laura, thanks for doing this today.
Thank you so much, and have fun.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna let's watch the Salon Noir commercial again just for fun, and we're gonna come back with Carl Stedman as Liquid Lunch continues. We'll be right back.
Salon Noir was created as a nod to the parties of yesteryear and as a means to celebrate art, music, dance, and fashion within our own dark aesthetic. We debuted at Lula Lounge in April of 2011 with our theme, The Victorian Bohemians, featuring fusion belly dance and live music from Amy's Arms and Voltaire. We continued through a whole series of periods from medieval to the roaring 20s with headliners like David J., the Dead Fly Ensemble, and Jarbo.
Loves Jesus and very good too. I hear your voice in visions when silence follows echoes.
On June 2nd, we take inspiration from old-time Coney Island and sideshow carnies with our theme, The Devil's Cabaret. The evening's performances will include Mental Floss Sideshow, burlesque from Toronto's own Coco Frambois and New York City's Flying Fox, local glam rock band The Scarlet Fever, and coming to us from the UK, the legendary Sex Gang Children. Tarot readings in the foyer. Doors and dinner start at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8:30 at Lula Lounge. Tickets are available through our website or at Rotate This. Come dressed to impress. Create your own crazy carny, death rock dandy, Victorian vaudevillian, or glamorous goth, and come share a surreal evening with us.
And we're back here on the show, and
we have some goth echo happening.
Well, it's gone now. But we have Carl Stedman joining us here. And Carl, I know we've been in touch on Facebook, and I just found out, you know.
Yes, I know Carl.
Yeah, for a while.
So how do you guys know each other?
Well, I met you on Facebook, actually, kind of, sort of. And then we met at one of the speaking events, one of these, and you were performing.
At Lei Ping's event?
I met you at Lei Ping's event.
Yeah.
Oh, I met you even before. That's correct.
Trigger You're Happy.
That's correct. Wow, yeah. That's right.
Small world.
Yes.
You know, and you look just like Paul McCartney. You look, and you're from Liverpool.
I wish I had this money.
Okay, well, you're from Liverpool.
I am.
And you look like Paul McCartney. I have to ask you, do you think the Paul McCartney that we see today is the real Paul McCartney?
Oh, yeah.
Were you approached to be the new Paul McCartney?
I wish.
Like a stand-in, maybe? A stand-in for him?
What do you think? Remember that whole controversy about Paul McCartney? What do you think?
No, I think it's him. I think it's really him. Because he can't sing quite as well as he could.
He can?
He's still brilliant, though. I still love him.
I know.
Yeah.
Except for Magneto and Titanium Man. Just kidding. Okay, so now you're a musical performer as well, right?
Yes, I try my best.
And we gotta get a video at the end. But what do you play? What instrument do you play?
I just sing.
Really?
Yeah.
No guitar?
This instrument, no.
So, well.
So he's only half of Paul McCartney.
I say I didn't choose singing; it chose me.
How did it choose you?
Well, I had a mystical experience in 2005.
A mystical
Well, we
experience?
need to hear about that.
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
I'm sorry, with that accent, a what?
Basically, what happened, I've been through a lot of pain in my life for a number of years. And I was actually meditating, and I had an out-of-body experience. And within that experience, I seen my whole life flash me by, everything, all the pain and heartache. Because as a young man, I was in a wheelchair for 3 years. And I grew up in a city that was quite violent. Actually, I'm from a place called Birkenhead, which is over the River Mersey. You might have heard the song, Ferry Across the Mersey.
Of course we have.
I'm from over the Mersey. And so I had a lot of challenges in my young life. But in this experience, I was embraced in a light. Some might call it God, source energy. But my whole life flashed me by, and the feeling of love, which we've all felt, it was absolutely incredible. And then I seen my future. I see myself singing on stage and writing a book. And then I wrote my first song, The Light, a week later. So then I started singing.
Were you a musician at all, or a singer or songwriter?
No. I've always loved to sing, but I've never done it on stage or anything. But from that moment, as I say, a week later, I started to write the songs. And then I was very blessed to meet a person, Dan Clancy, from the band Lighthouse. And he put the music together for my CD, The Diary of an Uneducated Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's very cool. So what do you do with all? Is this your main work these days?
I try to make it. I want to get out there as much as I can, but I teach martial arts to children.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've been doing karate now for 40 years.
See, so that's so interesting, Carl, because you were in a wheelchair. You've come into the studio with crutches.
Yeah.
How the heck do you teach karate?
Well, I had a hip replacement 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it's been something that's been ongoing for the last 2 or 3 years with arthritis. But I like to teach children self-empowerment, and since the experience that I had, I teach everything is energy, love the highest and fear the lowest. And throughout my classes, I do affirmations with the kids, give them hope and belief in themselves.
So this is much more than just karate.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I call it spiritual karate, but not outside on the board because people mightn't come.
Okay, so Carl, so all that stuff we were talking about earlier in this show, I think you heard most of it. You know, we were talking about the Monsanto and the were we talking about the Illuminati?
No, but we are now, I guess.
You know, all those guys that are trying to the police state, all that stuff, the London incident that just happened. I mean, and here you are giving people hope and stuff like that.
Yes.
Maybe give us some hope. You know, in the light of these kind of things that are happening in the world, inspire us a little bit.
Well, I say, because I do motivational speaking as well, and I tell everyone to switch the TV off, first of all, because everything is energy. And I think the mass consciousness at the moment is there's an awful lot of fear. And I think consciousness is creating our reality. So I tell people, I am aware of these things happening, but I don't focus on them things, because I think what you focus on, you're going to create. So,
yeah. I've been thinking that myself a little bit.
So that kind of thinking, is that something that would or would not support a march against Monsanto?
I'm just thinking of what Mother Teresa said, but this might be a bit different. You know, she wouldn't march in an anti-war demonstration, but for something like that, I think as long as it's peaceful and it's creating awareness.
So there's, for the speakers, it was very peaceful.
Yes.
It was very much about, it was not about, oh, we hate them, look at what they're doing. It was, there was none of that. It was about what we want. This is the world we want to create.
Absolutely.
So it really was a positive vibe, and they made sure that they told everybody this is not about protesting in that way. This is not, we don't want to take people down. That's not what this energy is all about. Yeah. It's more about creating love, not fear.
So we're for something instead of against something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think everything that creates more awareness for the better of humanity, the better. The more people are awaken. I use the word awaken a lot. So it's what's happening.
Okay, so let me just ask you, because you talk about, you pay attention to the stuff you want to pay attention to, right? Yeah. And then what happens? I'm like Spock. What is the mechanism that you know, or are you just burying your head in the sand while the bad guys do their thing over here? You're not paying attention to it. No. You know?
I don't think so. I love Bruce Lipton, and he talks a lot about the perception and the biology of belief, and I think sometimes when we focus on it, it actually is adding to that energy.
You know, I think, you know, you're, okay, maybe because we don't understand reality.
No.
We walk around and we pretend we understand reality. We think we understand how the universe works, how the cosmos works, how creation happens. Yeah. We have no clue. It's like we don't know.
I know.
We don't know.
No, but that's part of the joy of it, right? You know, not knowing sometimes is quite exciting.
So maybe it is like, you pay attention to all the stuff over here, and I've seen it actually in my own life too, where if you start just paying attention to a whole bunch of good stuff, you're hanging out with a whole bunch of other people that are good, paying attention to the same good stuff, and all these good things are happening. Absolutely. And you don't even Monsanto, conspiracy, whatever. I heard about that a while back.
And at the moment, there's so much of it going on, right? And I know. I mean, I've got friends who are into the Illuminati, who believe all this is going on, and I've got other friends who just love and light, want to meditate. But I think it's all about balance, you know, and putting our energies, what we want to create.
And it's perspective too, because some people could say, look, when I talk about, you know, not me personally, but you know, when someone talks about the Illuminati or something negative like Monsanto, it's not about negativity, because they're not speaking from a place of fear. They're actually speaking from a place of empowerment.
Absolutely.
So would that be a perspective thing? Right, where somebody would say, you know, that's a fearful thing, and some people would say, no, that's an empowering thing.
Yeah, I think it's an empowering thing. I mean, I like to say to people, well, we're eternal anyway, because people say to me, do I believe in God? I say, no, I know God. I've experienced that energy, so we're eternal. We create our own reality, so it's all good.
So what would you say to Laura, who said she was an atheist, which means I don't believe in anything, correct?
Yes.
Well, no, you don't believe in God.
Oh, you don't believe in God. Is that what that means? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to use the word God. Okay.
I just tell her about my experience, and this is what I believe, and feel very blessed to have had it, you know, because I've always felt there was a God, you know, or source energy. Sometimes the word God is misused, and you talk about God and people switch off because of religion.
Yes.
And so, you know,
that's why I didn't want to use that word.
But to me, I mean, with the masters that have been on the earth for many, you know, thousands of years, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, they all said the same thing: we're all as one, we're all connected. And now quantum physics proves it. And with Dr. Emoto's work on water and energy, and Bruce Lipton and so many other great leading edge thinkers are proven that there's this energy.
Okay, well, you know what?
How do you know that's not just the devil trying to fool us, Carl?
Okay, you know what? This is how I know. Okay, with that accent, I'm going to believe anything.
Now's your chance, Carl.
Can you lend me $2, Bob?
We don't even know what that means. We don't know.
It's $1. No.
So what are you working on these days, then?
Well, basically getting my hip better, because I want to get teaching again, and I'd like to get out more into schools and things like that, and empower children. I know there's a lot of bullying going on in the schools, and as we know, bullying comes from fear, and I'd like to get out there doing that. But I also want to put a show together where I'm actually singing as well, to teach that you can do anything. I became a singer at 46.
Do you have a band?
I'm looking for a band.
What? You're looking for a band?
I'm looking for a band. I've been offered to do Rod Stewart tributes, because people tell me I sing like Rod Stewart. So I've been offered good gigs to do that, but I haven't got a band. And
see, would you do early Rod Stewart or like disco
both.
Rod Stewart?
I do everything. Because I do the Great American Songbook. I do about 30 or 40 of them. And
really?
It's old stuff, and I just need a blonde wig.
We all need a blonde wig. Except if she gets a black wig.
I'm getting the black one.
Okay, Carl. Is there anything else we should talk about? Anything else you want to really, get into?
I want to say, when I hear you sing, okay, you don't have the accent. What's up with that?
Oh, same with the Beatles.
Okay.
There's something about that Liverpool accent. There's just no accent.
No. Sometimes in some of my songs I put a bit of the accent on,
How do you do that? How do you
let it go?
Yeah, let it go.
Oh, so do you control yourself when you're singing? Are you conscious?
Yes, yeah, I'm conscious of that.
Oh, it's a bonus. Keep it. Oh my God.
Some of my songs do a bit more. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Carl, this has been fun. Now, we got this video of you singing, right? What is, it's one of the ones you sent me, the shorter one. Which one?
It's actually the song The Light.
Oh, this is the one you're talking. Is this the first song you wrote?
First one I wrote, yeah.
After your experience?
Yes, yeah. I wrote it a week later, and then, as I say, Dan Clancy put the music together. Could I just mention one thing too?
Of course.
If we've finished.
Yeah.
There's a great thing on the 4th of July, which is World Peace Day, and if you go to my Facebook, you'll
invited
see
me.
it. Oh, yeah, I invited a lot of people yesterday. And,
you have to invite you.
You
probably did.
Yeah. But because as we know, heart math proves the more people that focus on something at the same time, it literally does change the energy.
So what's this event? Is it an event you just do from home, or is this an event you actually go to?
You can do it from home, or I think some people are doing it on Skype, but when we all focus with that intention
Heart
at the same
math.
time.
Love that.
Yeah,
what does that mean? Amazing. It multiplies 1 + 1 + 1 = 111.
Yeah. Of course it does. Okay, Carl. Well, thank you for doing this. Oh, so where can people get in touch with you? Is there a website, or maybe there's a band out there needs a great singer?
Yeah, they can contact me on my email address, which is cstedmond@yahoo.com. My website is diaryofanuneducatedman.com or carlstedman.com.
All right. Okay, Carl. This has been fun.
Thank you so much, and good luck with getting back in the karate.
Thanks, Sandra.
And maybe we can talk band stuff afterwards too. So
Yes.
here, let's watch the video. Carl performing his first song, "The Light," after he met God, and then we're going to come back with Sarah Zeldman, the e-marketing maven, right after this on Liquid Lunch.
I saw the light today. I'm slowly moving on my way. My life flashing before me. A loving world that came to be. Part I play upon the stage, songs and stories like my way. Love and light is oh so clear, coming closer every year. Each one of us will play our part. All we need is open hearts. Messages are everywhere. What we see and what we hear, coincidence or meant to be. I found a love that's set me free. I saw the light today. I'm slowly moving on my way. My life flashing before me. A loving world that came to be. Part of playing on a stage, songs and stories like my way. Just the way it's supposed to be. The Creator's perfect symphony. Voices talking in my head are helping me to see, to be. I found the love that set me free. help me now, help me to be. I saw the light today. 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 Yeah. I saw the light today. Whoa. I saw the light today. Today, I saw the light. Thank you. How you doing?
So that was Carl Steadman. He's a great singer.
He is awesome. Great singer, great energy, great guy.
And we're here with, we have Sarah Zeldman here now. And Sarah, we're having fun already.
Yeah,
Right?
Sure.
So you are the e-marketing maven,
I must be because it says so on my
right?
business card.
It's,
Yeah.
And that's not what your guidance counselor told you you were going to be when you grew up,
No,
right?
no. The internet was like a blip in somebody's eye. You know?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what happened? How did this happen?
I have a very diverse and eclectic background.
I don't know what that means. Should we even ask?
Yeah, let's get into it.
That's
In
interesting.
extreme detail.
I went to university. I trained to be a sign language interpreter. So it all started with communication, right?
Okay.
But I wasn't able to do that. It's very taxing on the body. And long story short, I had to find something else. Then in the 90s, life coaching was emerging as a field, and I became a life coach. While I was studying to be a life coach, I found on the internet, these are in the days before Google, before Facebook, I found this self-study course. It was 2 giant notebooks that said you can learn to sell anything on the internet, any product, any service. So I thought this would be great for me to learn to promote myself as a life coach. And I bought it and I studied it and I never stopped learning. And I did it to promote myself as a life coach. But about 4 years ago, there was a shift in my life. I needed to provide the main income for my family. And I just knew that life coaching would be a harder thing to promote. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually using those same skills to educate and empower small business owners to use social media to promote their products and services. So that's the background. That's how I got into it.
Okay, so, well, let's talk about...
Just 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Good for
I
you.
studied, I always kept on up on internet marketing.
Well, it's
for
a
like
very
15
new,
years.
it's a new phenomenon anyway. I mean, the internet's
Right.
only been here for 15 years, and then the whole social media is a new wrinkle in internet evolution, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did, there's, I mean, I'm sure you know a lot of people, small business people especially, and I think, in fact, we're headed towards an economy where almost everybody's a small business person.
Yeah.
Because the big companies are all just closing down and moving away.
I don't know. I guess, but it's funny. A small business is defined by the government as less than 500 employees. So
I
that's
thought it was
actually
50.
So yeah, no. A lot of people think it's 5 to 10, whatever. So actually, the companies I tend to work with tend to be micro businesses, 1 to 5 employees.
Yeah,
Either
of course.
the solo professional
Yeah.
or 1 to 5.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Right.
An economy
Well,
of entrepreneurs.
It's always been that way. Small
Yeah.
business really is the mainstay of any economy, and that's why the government supports small business owners in various ways, from the local business enterprise centers that they provide to support small business owners, which I'm proud to speak there. And in that case, then you're absolutely right. I correct myself.
So, okay, let's talk about e-marketing, especially for small and micro businesses, because there's a lot of people that may not. First of all, maybe give people an idea why it's so important and maybe they don't even understand what's happening in the scene.
Sure, it's funny. I think people have an inkling that it is important. A lot of small business owners are suffering from what I call social media stress syndrome. I have to get on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn all yesterday, right? And that leads to an approach where they're kind of jumping in and not really understanding it, and they're not they don't have a strategy, and well,
how can you have a strategy if you don't understand it?
Right, exactly. So that's where I come in. I always say that succeeding with social media marketing is a combination of technology, psychology, and strategy. I can teach you where to click, how to post, how to like something, but to really achieve results, you have to understand who you're trying to communicate with, make sure they're on that site that you're focusing on, and create a strategy to connect with them, because it's really about connecting with the person behind the computer.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I teach them step by step how to do that.
So you're not just giving them fish, you're teaching them how to fish.
I educate and empower them and their staff to actively promote themselves on social media, because there will always be the bigger companies that will pay, that will either hire someone in-house to just focus on that or pay another social media management company, but there will always be people, especially small business owners, who either want to or need to do it themselves.
Well, I think you kind of need to almost on your own, because otherwise your brand is out of your control unless you've got...
Exactly. You've either got to find a management company that really not only knows what they're doing on the sites, but you can delegate it but not abdicate it. You have to constantly have communication with them to make sure they're doing it well. And a lot of people make the mistake of handing it off, and I could tell you many disaster stories. So actually a lot of people either come to my classes or hire me even if they're not going to do it themselves, so that they can supervise the people that they hire or the company that they hire, so
education.
they know enough. So there will always be people to delegate it, but there will always be people who need to, either because they can't afford the several $100s a month it'll cost to have someone else manage it, or because they want their unique voice, or because they have a unique understanding of their industry that only they or their staff can communicate. And so that's where I try to bridge the gap between them and getting their message out to the world.
So for social media, is it three main things: Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn? Are those the three you focus on? What else is there out there?
So you definitely hit it. Those are thought of as the main three.
Okay.
I would expand, and generally one of those will do. You want to, I think every company does not have to be on every social media site, but just about every company should be on at least one. So you probably want to be at least one of those. The other three main ones, if we're going to...
Wait, which were those three? Facebook, Twitter?
Okay. Facebook,
LinkedIn.
Twitter, LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn.
You should probably be on at least one of those.
Okay.
And the other ones to consider are YouTube, Pinterest, and Google+.
What is Pinterest?
Yeah, I don't get Pinterest.
Okay, so Pinterest is a very visual social network. You find a great image, a great picture, an infographic, and they give you a board, okay? And you can pin any graphic from anywhere on the internet on this on a board that's categorized as great recipes, or a board that's great fashion, or Toronto events. And so it's a very visual way to organize things, and it's addictive because it's hard without actually showing you. It's just the focus on the image, and it's a way to organize images.
So it seems to me that some of these social media venues would be better for certain businesses than others. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. I was just about to say that Pinterest, people say that Pinterest can be used for anything, can be used if you're selling business to business, but really what it's good for is if you have a physical product to sell, jewelry, something that will enhance someone's lifestyle,
CDs,
home
music,
decorations.
would that work?
Maybe. It almost always comes down to where is your target customer hanging out and talking about stuff related to what you have to offer. So it would depend on the kind of musician, where's their target market. I don't know if the musician could make the visual link enough to make Pinterest the #1 thing he should focus on.
So a fashion designer?
A fashion designer, absolutely. And Pinterest, here's the interesting thing. It's the 3rd largest social network. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it drives sales. There are studies that it drives sales better than Facebook and Twitter.
Wow.
And when you use it for the right kind of company, for a company that has a physical product to
now,
feature.
Google Plus, we have to ask about that one. Is it Google Plus? Is that there? What, do you know what that is, Hugh?
Yes, I do. I even have an account on Google Plus, and I even have a Pinterest account.
Cool.
But you didn't know what it was.
Using them.
I just don't. Yeah. Well, I try to get on the curve quickly, and then
you just don't know.
forget about it.
So educate me,
So
please.
Google Plus is not only Google's social network,
like Facebook,
similar to Facebook. It is a social layer over all of Google's many products. So Google Docs, Gmail, Google Maps, it's all integrated into Google Plus.
Isn't it even integrated with Hotmail now?
I wouldn't be surprised. Probably, yeah. If
Isn't Gmail
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But if Google owns it, it's connected or it's going to be connected, and it's really important for 2 reasons. Google is the exception to the rule. The rule being you want to go where your target customer is. Even if your target customers aren't on Google Plus, you may want to be on and be active because your activity there is linked to the search engine results. So if you want, right? So that's one reason to be on it. The other thing to be on it is for many people feel like, are you kidding me? Another social network?
Exactly.
But let me tell you, it's not going away because we grew up in the era of using Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word as our word processing office suite.
Yes.
But the younger generation is now growing up, and the university generation now is growing up using Google Apps. So if Google Plus and Google Apps is integrated, it's not going away anytime soon. So Google Plus, I think, even though it has less users and it's struggling and the other forms of it went away, I think it's here to stay, and I think it's important to pay attention to.
So you're thinking it's like the Apple or the Mac was when Microsoft was huge.
Social media expert Guy Kawasaki, I believe, if I'm attributing the right quote, says it is the Apple of the social media, the Macintosh. You're pretty good.
Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Skype. Is that considered social media?
Skype has social aspects. I wouldn't consider it one of the main 6 social media sites that I mentioned, but it definitely does, because you will see more and more products, online products, becoming more social. So Skype definitely does integrate social. It wants to be a social network, and it integrates social aspects of it.
Okay, so if we're going to invent so we can become the 7th social media, what would we do, Sarah?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough question.
Is it?
What can we come up with?
I know what it is. I already have the answer.
I'm keeping it secret?
Yeah, it's a secret.
Okay, so I'll look for that.
Okay, so then you need to contact her after
So
that.
come on, but can you answer the question?
My job is to see what's out there, stay on top of it, and educate. I haven't thought that.
What are the trends then? What trends are you noticing in the whole social media scene?
Trends in what respect?
Well,
first of all, it's always changing.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Pinterest is relatively new, but I mean, what else is happening that you're aware of, maybe is under the radar for most people?
You know, it's funny. What trends are? You'd have to ask me about each individual network and how it's changing, or trends in there. I can't really speak to trends because I focus on how can business owners use this to promote their products and services.
So let me ask you another question then, because I know that there are tools out there that help, or supposedly their job is to help someone manage their whole social media environment or ecosystem. I think sometimes they use the word, right? Are there any out there that you like that work for you?
Each one has its pros and cons. The one that I think is used most, promoted most, is Hootsuite.
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's free for up to 5 accounts. So for the small business owner, for the solopreneur, that may be all they need. Okay, and it has very affordable pro plan and enterprise plans, and it basically has all the functions you need. It's a social media dashboard where you can access all of your social media accounts from one central place. and it could track analytics. You can schedule your posts so you don't always have to show up in posts. So Hootsuite is definitely one of the time-saving tools that I promote.
Now, is this a full-time job?
For a company, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you were to do Hootsuite, if that's what it's called, I mean, to post regularly on these places and keep tabs and Twitter, and oh my God.
It doesn't have to be. In fact, that's part of what I teach, is that a lot of people get thrown off because it takes time to learn the details. But there's always a learning curve. And I always say it's like learning to drive a car. When I learned to drive a car, I was very nervous, took all my time, it took my attention, and now it's automatic. Once if I work with you, I teach you, and you practice, it can get to the point where you're posting a couple of minutes a day, not even every day, and you check in, and you got to be a little disciplined, and I teach little tricks to help keep you focused. You check in, you network on the site, you post, and you get out. So it can be integrated into your work routine. We all got used to checking our email.
Yes,
and
we did.
But I encourage the small business owner not to try to be active on all 6 at once if there's a solopreneur. You know, focus on one, maybe maintain a couple of other. You got to be strategic about the time that it takes.
Okay.
Go ahead. I
don't fight.
Okay. So you talk about you teach people, but then also you're teaching. You have a class, a course. Like what? You know, how do people who are out there who are feeling the need to get their social media house in order, how do they work with you, or are there a number of different ways?
So I teach a course about once a month at the Vaughan Chamber of Commerce. I make sure to schedule one and we have 10 business owners around a room with their laptops, and we go step by step. But I also come to people's offices and train them and their staff. And I also, if someone wants to bring me either to their office or to their organization to do a seminar or hands-on workshop, I'm available for that too.
Now, and I think even though something like Hootsuite, that's pretty much you do your own thing, right? You manage your own social media. That's okay. But still, if you don't understand what they are, they still need to go to a class like you to understand what all this is, right?
You can try to figure it out you can try to figure it out on your own, and you can try to find a YouTube video that explains this or that and read articles. But the idea is that I've already done that, and I can just shorten that learning curve for you and be there for follow-up support if you get stuck.
Right.
So when you teach the course at the Vaughan, what is
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, like, is it the same course every month?
No, I do one social network a month. Tomorrow morning, I'm doing Twitter step by step. And next month I'm doing Pinterest step by step, and then LinkedIn step by step.
That sounds really useful.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So, like, do you get the same, you only have 10 entrepreneurs at a
10,
time?
sometimes 12. Yeah, but I try to keep it small because if they get stuck, I run over and help them, and I don't want to have too many.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much do they pay for that?
It's $125 for each, and if they sign up for 3, then they get a free 1-hour follow-up session with me.
Oh, okay.
So,
now, what if somebody wants to follow up with you outside of that? Maybe they can't get to Vaughan.
Yeah, so just give me a call and we'll schedule, and I come to your office and do the same thing. And some people, I keep the classes more affordable, but some people either they say, I'm ADD, I can't deal with a classroom of 10 people, or I want you to focus and give me ideas just for my business. Okay, because when I'm teaching a class, I have many different kind of businesses, and I try to throw, okay, this can work for your business with this twist, and this could work for that business with this twist. But if I'm just focusing on one business, you get a lot more ideas. So
do you find, Sarah, that there are specific industries, like, say I have a restaurant. Okay, so you would definitely recommend Facebook. Like, do you have like a pattern or a formula?
Yes, actually, one of the things that I usually I welcome people to call me for a 15-20 minute phone call, and the question I answer the most often is, which one should I start with? First, I tell people, don't worry, you don't have to do all at once, and they relax. I say I help people suffering from social media stress syndrome, and then we go through the process of trying to figure out which one would be best. And sometimes, if you can identify that your target market is on and active on one site versus the other, great, that's an easy call. But if something like a restaurant, they would be everywhere, then then we try to figure out, well, then what would be the easiest for you to maintain? Often, ironically, people don't expect, often it's Twitter. I find Twitter that it's the one that confuses people the most when they look at it. But once I explained it to them, it's the fastest to learn, it's the fastest to manage, and it's a lot more powerful than people think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow you've got one of these?
A Twitter step by
All
step.
about Twitter.
Yep.
What time do...
The Vaughan Chamber of Commerce, 9 a.m.
Can they still go? Do you still have room?
Yeah. There are a couple spaces left, I think, unless they're all filled by now. But
9 a.m.
so.
at the Vaughan Chamber of Commerce. Where's that? Where's that?
That's...
I remember when that was a field.
That is... No, Vaughan is a thriving city now. And by the way, we have a rockin' mayor also. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Actually, I like some of the urban planning they're doing up in Vaughan.
Yeah, they're really... I love it. Yeah. And so go to my website, theemarketingmaven.com, and you'll see a blue bar on the top, the schedule of my upcoming classes, and on that page will be a link to register for the class.
And it's 9 to 5 or 9?
No, it's 9 to 12:30. It's 3 hours, and we get you set up and ready to tweet. And we get you tweeting right in class. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, it sounds great.
It's my favorite one to teach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Theemarketingmaven.com, and just look for the bar and sign in.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This
is a great show.
This has been great to have you on, and I didn't learn a lot. I learned a lot of things that I want to learn.
More.
That's what I learned.
Okay.
So thanks, Sarah,
My
for doing
pleasure.
this.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, so let's watch a video, and then we'll come back with...
Another video.
Oh, do we have video for Andrea, our next guest? Why don't we watch that now? We've got Andrea Gunraj coming on, communication specialist with mettrack.org. We're going to watch this video and come back and chat with Andrea right after this.
I'm Gemini, and I wear purple for a purpose. I wear it to signify that I believe in preventing violence against women and children, and to signify that I support the Maybe Me campaign. Our sisters, our mothers, our children, they are all at a high risk of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. But there is something we can do. We can work together to stop violence before it even starts. Join the Maybe Me campaign to prevent violence against women and youth. Visit maybemecampaign.ca to find out more today. Because I don't just believe that it could be me or it may be me. If someone is being violated, if there's a woman out there who is suffering, if there's a young child out there who is suffering, then it is me.
I wear purple with purpose. Purple has always been my favorite color, as you can see. My favorite musical, the color purple. But honestly, purple means a lot more to me. Purple represents stopping violence against women and youth. On Friday, May 31st, I'm going to be a part of an awesome campaign called the Maybe Me campaign. I want you to jump online and find out more. maybemecampaign.ca. It's going to be hosted at the Toronto Archives, so please come out and support. Because I love purple, but purple is so much more than just a color.
Okay, welcome back to the show. And so there's a couple of little videos, and we have Andrea Gunraj here, communication specialist. And we're talking really about preventing violence against women and youth.
That's
right,
correct.
Andrea?
Yes.
So I know you've got a current camp. Do you want to tell us about the current campaign that you guys have going on?
Sure. So as the videos mentioned, we have our Maybe Me campaign, and it's really focused on preventing violence against women and youth, raising both funds and awareness to support the cause. So this campaign was launched in 2012 by the organization I work for, MetTrack, which stands for the Metropolitan Action Committee on Violence Against Women and Children. It's quite a mouthful, but we were founded in 1984 here in Toronto after a series of rapes and murders against women. Some women got together and said it's not acceptable, and they wanted to do something about this violence in public places. So working with the City of Toronto, MetTrack was founded and has been around ever since, and we look at various forms of violence prevention. So this campaign, we really wanted to launch it to help people understand how they can prevent violence in their own lives and what they could do to support a very important cause.
Wow, okay. So what is this specific event about?
Sure. So the Maybe Me campaign is all year round, but because May is the month that we do a lot of our events and we do a lot of focus, especially on the fundraising side of things, this Friday, May 31st, is our Preventing More Histories of Violence celebration night.
Preventing More Histories of Violence celebration. Okay.
The reason why we focus on preventing more histories of violence is that it will be held at the City of Toronto Archives at 255 Spadina Road, so that's just at Spadina and DuPont. And we want to look at our past, reflect on that, and look forward to a violence-free future. So that'll be at 7 o'clock at night. Tickets are only $30, and it'll be hosted by Rachel Lee Rickards, who is an actor, a producer, a terrific just person in the city working in theater. And then we also have DJ Denise Benson, who is well known as a DJ around the city, and she's a digital artist. So we're really looking forward to that event, just to meet with people, celebrate, look at the positives of what we're doing to prevent violence, because I don't believe that we just have a violent reality and nobody's doing anything. The whole thing that MetRac and the Maybe Me campaign focuses on is how we can prevent violence in our own lives.
So now this has been around since 1984.
That's MetRac, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so Maybe Me is an event that MetRac puts on. Okay.
That's right.
So what kinds of, or have you noticed any kinds of changes, or how is it different now? I would think that there would be so much more education out there, that violence against women and children would be so much decreased, but is that a wrong assumption?
It's a very good question. I think you're absolutely right. We have more of an understanding that violence against women and children and youth, first of all, happens. It's not clouded in the same silence anymore, and often it happens in private spaces, but between people who know and trust each other.
Okay.
I would say probably about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people were not taking it as seriously, and that people didn't necessarily understand it as violence. That abuse, it happens, and it has terrible impacts on people's lives and on our communities. So I think there has been a change in awareness about this, and of course education on that. But we still have an epidemic of violence against women.
We do.
We
Wow.
do.
Wow.
Sexual assault is still 1 in 4 women will experience some kind of sexual assault in their lifetimes.
In Toronto? In Canada?
Toronto, in Canada, and around the world the numbers fluctuate, but we still see this huge number.
That is amazing to me.
That's right. And then we see, of course, this sexual violence playing out in online spaces, right? So nowadays, the game is a new game in many ways, but it's the same old junk happening in a new space.
Wow.
We see that there's still shaming of people who are survivors of violence, young people and women. And there's this whole idea of still blaming the victim. So we have a ways to go.
Okay.
At the same time that we understand something needs to be done, we might understand that this is a reality. We still have that leap to make to see that we can change it. It is not inevitable.
Now, bullying.
Yes.
Is this at all a part of this?
It's a good question. We're talking a lot about bullying these days.
That's why I asked, because
That's right.
I kind of see that as violence too.
I think you're absolutely right. It plays out in many different ways. The violence can be physical, it can be emotional, verbal, it can also be social. It can isolate somebody and make somebody feel like an outsider. So certainly it's a reality in that way. But, in these more recent tragic cases that we've heard of young women experiencing alleged sexual assaults and then committing suicide. And sometimes maybe not even that, extreme, but feeling isolated, feeling silenced, feeling shunned. This is a reality that's a layer on top of bullying that we often don't talk about. We'll talk about bullying, but often we pull it apart from gender. We pull it apart from violence against women. We pull it apart from sexual violence. That's a real mistake.
Okay.
There was a study in the U.S. Most recently talking about how ethnicity and bullying play together.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of young people who are mixed race, biracial, experience bullying in higher amounts. And youth who are newcomers experience bullying in higher amounts. Now, it kind of makes sense from what we hear. People are picked on because they are seen as different. But, this idea of bullying being picked apart from other parts of our realities is really kind of a very pedestrian understanding of bullying. So at METRAC, we try to take it that step further and look at how identity, things like gender, things like sexual violence play into it, and then how that plays into the solutions that need to happen.
Okay, like, you know, when I think about it, it's kind of like these things are almost part of human nature, right?
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, I'm just, you know, it's not like people taught people to be bullies. You know, it's not a part of the culture. It's just kind of the way
I think we are taught to be bullies. I actually would argue that point.
You know, I don't know the nature versus nurture
thing. Yeah.
I don't know where we would come out on it, but I would say if there's a part that is learned, there's something we can do about that.
Right.
If it's all nature, maybe it's more difficult, but I think that's kind of a way of stepping around the issue.
Well, what I was getting at, even if it is nature, I think you can still take steps to solve that problem, right? You know, if bullying is natural, you can still do something about it.
Well, and I would agree. There's a study that shows that people who are bullied are most likely to become bullies. It's a defense mechanism. It's a fear-based mechanism. You know, other guests before me were talking about the impact of fear. I do think that there's a real reality to the fact that if you're bullied, you're going to try to hit back, try to prevent it by hurting and by bullying.
You do as you're done to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a real reality that we have to look at how we treat one another in this society and what we see is acceptable. I think the reality remains that if you're at home and you're being bullied, or you're seeing bullying between your parents, between people who take care of you, you go to school, you will often play out that behavior.
Yes,
you know, everything is linked. Again, a guest before us spoke about how we're linked. So I don't know the nature versus nurture, but I do know that there's something that can be done either way. Because even if a certain amount of nature might play into it, nurture can't help it. Like nurture, if you were in a bullying environment and you are prone to bullying, all the more so then the argument that we need to create safe environments, that we need to have the right policies and practices in place, and that that kind of behavior should be encouraged, whether it be in a school or a workplace or in a home.
See, when I would say that anything that is termed a behavior is learned, is nurture, not nature, because behavior is the way we respond to something.
And I would agree with that. I would agree with that very heavily. I've been seeing some studies coming up more recently about how genes interact with behavior and violence, and some very interesting studies show that when people who supposedly have these genetic markers that make them prone to violence, when they are in a good environment, they're actually less violent on average. So there might be an indication that these genes actually make people not necessarily violent, but they're just very responsive to their environment.
To the environment.
Yes.
So we were talking about, I mean, you guys sort of agreed, did you not? Correct me if I'm wrong. That
I think so.
Maybe the situation overall is getting better.
Yes, in some ways.
In some ways. And then, but the environment that we're in, I'm just wondering, is it getting better in general? I know some people are personally in a better environment than they were 10 years ago. Some people in a worse environment. But overall, for everybody, say in Toronto or in Canada, is it getting better, or is it vulnerable to getting a lot worse?
I don't know that we've seen this trajectory going on of better or worse. What we have seen is that the economy makes a big mark on people's experiences of partner violence, intimate partner violence. So there's been a lot of suggestion that when people are struggling financially and have these kind of social pressures, that this violence tends to perpetuate in a home environment or between people who know and trust each other. There's been an indication more recently that maybe certain forms of intimate partner violence are decreasing, but sexual assault is actually flatlining or maybe even going up. Things like stalking, maybe even going up. So it's very difficult to say. We still have a big problem. And I think that it depends on who you are, too. It depends on where you are socially located. Your experience of violence is going to be different based on your experiences of things like racism, things like a low income or struggling with money, things like struggling to get your immigration status. All these things might make you more or less vulnerable to violence. So we have to look at how power plays out in people's lives as well.
Okay, so now you've got an event this Friday, right?
That's right.
And, I mean, you mentioned some of the acts that are going to be there. Is there going to be any other activities like networking or speaking or...
Absolutely. So we have some folks from our organization, METRAC, speaking on the issues. We are also going to have a lot of awareness raising. We have a team of great volunteers who do awareness raising, and they'll be really working hard to try to help people understand the issue, understand how we can use all the tools available to us. For instance, METRAC is known to do safety audits in community spaces after there were a bunch of sexual assaults in the city late last year. We worked with a number of neighborhood groups to do safety audits of the community and try to identify areas where people felt unsafe and identify ways that we could change it. So we'll be speaking to those types of things, action-based things that our community members can do to prevent violence against women, both in private and in public spaces.
Is METRAC government funded?
Partially government funded.
Okay.
So we are funded by the City of Toronto. That's one of our funders. The Law Foundation of Ontario is a big funder for us. But a lot of our work needs the support of donors, especially the kind of stuff that we do that is kind of outside of the box a little bit. So we've been moving into the area of looking at digital games to prevent violence and using things like apps and you know, all the social media tools that the guest before me had spoken to. That kind of stuff is not as easily fundable, and that's the stuff that's really on the cutting edge and what people are doing nowadays. That's why the Maybe Me campaign is so important, because we need the support of dollars from people who care about violence against women and youth and want to see it ended in this city.
Can people donate on the websites, or you?
Absolutely, they can. MaybeMeCampaign.ca. Just look that up, and you'll be able to find different ways to donate. There's also a way that you can kind of join in the campaign and fundraise yourself amongst your social network, whether it be on Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. So I'd really encourage people to check that out. MaybeMeCampaign.ca.
And that's just as you say it, MaybeMeCampaign.ca.
Absolutely.
So like you said, so people that are real passionate about this issue can actually get in touch and organize their own mini campaigns.
Most definitely. And they can do that by getting in touch with me directly. My name is Andrea, and I am at METRAC, and you can reach me.
The lady in purple?
That's right, 416-392-4760, or outreach@metrac.org. That's my direct contact, but of course you can go to MaybeMeCampaign.ca and email, call, however, it'll get to me.
And it's probably a good idea for those people that are really feeling this to come out to the event on Friday, right?
Absolutely. We'd love to meet.
Are there finger foods there?
There are finger foods. There are yummy drinks. There are going to be a lot of great things. There's going to be free purple makeovers for people.
Wow.
Yeah. Photo booths. We're into the purple piece a lot. We think purple looks great on all skins.
Purple's good. I like it too.
That's a very
but why the purple?
color.
You know, purple is really a historical color when it comes to preventing violence, preventing bullying. Purple is used in many campaigns that have to do with preventing abuse. So it just makes a lot of sense for the cause.
Okay, great. So what time does it start on Friday?
7 o'clock at the Toronto Archives. That's 255 Spadina Road at Spadina and DuPont.
So do we have to parade a purple something?
You should wear a purple something. If you don't have a purple something, we'll have a purple something for you.
Can they get tickets? Can they just show up at the door and get in?
That's right. $35 at the door.
Okay.
And if you want to buy tickets online, just go to MaybeMeCampaign.ca. It'll be $30 for you there.
Nice. Okay, Andrea, great to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And to hear about all this great stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you for it. That was so informative. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for the show, everybody.
Oh my God, that was a fast one.
Well, and we had so many guests.
I know, that was packed. Awesome show.
Okay, Sandra.
You didn't bully me too much today. You were good.
Because I knew Andrea was coming.
Good move.
Okay, that's it. See you next time right here on ThatChannel.com.
Stay humble.